Okay, so this question asks you to increase 420 by 38%. There are lots of ways of doing this, but I'm hoping that you've practiced the idea of percentage multipliers on a calculated paper because it's much quicker, more efficient. So the percentage increase of a 38% means that you multiply by 1.38. Okay, the reason we do that is because the original amount was 100%. We add on a 38% increase, 138% new value is the same as timesing by 1.38. We got the 1.38 because we turn a percentage into a decimal by dividing by 100. So for this question, the efficient method would be to do 4,200 times 1.38. So 4,200 times 1.38 equals 5796. Okay, there are lots of different methods. You could have found out 1% of 4,200 by sharing it by 100 and times by 38 and then add that answer on. But I say I'm going to push you to learn percentage multipliers because that's the percentage multipliers is the most efficient method when you're increasing and decreasing values. So learn that method, guys. It'll save you a heartache. Okay, so this table shows information about journeys, and we've got to complete the table. It talks about average speed. So again, we should learn our formulas. So speed is equal to the distance of a journey divided by the time it took. And we can think of that because if we think of it as typical speed, 30 kilometers per hour, then if we look at it, then we've got a distance and a time. So speed is equal to distance divided by time. We've got to fill in missing values. So here we've got a distance travelled and a speed. We want a time. So this formula can be rearranged in lots of different ways. So if I want a time taken, then the time would be equal to the distance divided by the speed. Okay, time would come across and speed would go down at the bottom there. Not that I like these triangles, but quite often the speed, distance, time triangle can help. And if I want a time, I cover up the time and it's telling me to do the distance divided by the speed. If I want a speed, I cover up the speed and it tells me to do the distance divided by the time. If I want a distance, then I cover up the distance and it tells me to do s times the time because they're next to each other. So timesing next to dividing when they're on top of each other. So speed equals distance over time, or time equals distance over speed, or distance equals speed times time. So we've got the time taken for this one. Time is the distance divided by the speed. So 32 divided by 64 is half an hour. You do that on your calculator if you want to, but or you could do just logic. 32 miles travelled, average speed 64 miles an hour. So half of that is 32, and therefore in half an hour I'll travel 32 miles. Here we've got a time taken of 1 hour and 20, an average speed of 42 miles per hour, and we're going to work out the distance travelled. So the distance is equal to the speed times the time. So the distance is the speed, 42, times the time. Well, 1 hour 20 minutes is 1 1/3 hours. So it's a calculated question. So 42 times 1 1/3 equals 56. So 56 miles. We could have done this question by logic because we should have we could recognise that 42 miles an hour. So if we think what this means, it means in 1 hour travel 42 miles in 1/3 of an hour, because 20 minutes is 1/3 of an hour. We need to know our facts about hours and time, guys, and minutes. So 1/3 of an hour is 20 minutes. So in 1/3 of an hour I travel 42 divided by 3, which is 14 miles. If I do 42 plus 14, then I get 56 miles. So these questions, they can be done through thinking what speed actually means, rather than use formulas, although it's a calculator paper, so the formulas can be quicker if you learn them, of course. Either way, you get those answers.